So I wanted to bring this up because at first, when I first saw this, I was like, this seems a little bit too far fetched to be true. But I'm seeing a lot of people share this on social media and it's really making the rounds. And a lot of, I'd say, trustworthy people are starting to share this now. So I'm like, okay, maybe there might be something to this. I will say that the language here is a bit hyperbolic. So take that part with a grain of salt in the initial caption for the main tweet we're looking at here. But having said that, this still is not a great look. It says Pam Bondi just threatened to kill more Americans if Donald Trump's political opponents don't turn over their voter data. Have you Republicans no shred of shame? Now, when I say that they're being a little bit hyperbolic, the whole they just threatened to kill more Americans, my understanding of this is like, hey, Minnesota, if you want to see ICE pulled out of Minnesota, maybe you can turn over that voter data that we've been demanding you turn over, and maybe we'll pull ICE out. So that's what they're actually saying. I get the allusion to like, oh, they're going to kill more Americans because let's be honest, two Americans have lost their lives in Minnesota as a result of the actions of DHS and ICE. But still, just keep that in mind. The language is a bit hyperbolic. But in any case, apparently this is the letter that Pam Bondi sent out to representatives in Minnesota. So let's go ahead and let's just read the full letter. This is the part most people are focusing on, the last page. But we're gonna read the full thing. In the wake of another fatal shooting in Minneapolis, AG Pam Bondi sends Governor Walz a letter today, making several asks. Allow DOJ Civil Rights Division access to state voter rolls. So they're still trying to push the whole like the election was rigged in the state of Minnesota bullshit. Like they're really trying to push that shit hard. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's take a look at this. So this is the Office of the Attorney General of Washington, D.C. So this is from Pam Bondi. Governor Walz, the state of Minnesota has refused to enforce the law, and the consequences are heartbreaking. Americans are watching politicians ignore federal immigration law, criminals attack federal law enforcement, excuse me, and rioters storm church services. I write to urge a change. And keep in mind, they keep saying rioters. That's bullshit too. If you know what they're talking about, like Minnesota just had like one of the biggest protests that I've probably ever seen in my lifetime. 50,000 people in Minnesota showed up to peacefully protest. Okay? If you ask members of the Trump administration, they want you to believe that this was a riot, like the stuff that we've seen during the George Floyd, situation, right? That's what they want you to believe is happening here. That's not what happened. There was no destruction of property, no violent actions taken by protesters. This was 50,000 people engaging in peaceful protest. But in order to, feed a narrative to their brain dead supporters, they're calling them rioters, even though that's not true. So this is another lie that they're telling the people of this country. A right to urge change. On December 2025, the Department of Homeland Security launched Operation Metro Surge to protect Americans from dangers presented by unchecked illegal immigration, including violent crime and drug trafficking. That's another thing they're telling people, right? It's like, okay, here's the deal, right? If you're actually just looking for violent criminals and you're like, okay, these are the people we want to deport, okay, I can definitely see an argument for that for sure. Nobody wants violent criminals in their community. So if that were the case, then I don't think many people would have an issue with this. But that's not what's happening. We're watching people who are perfectly fine, contributors to their local communities who are being deported just because they're not legal citizens here. We're watching people who are doing everything they need to. They're within legal compliance with their goals to try and obtain citizenship of this country, still getting deported. We're watching people who are actual citizens of the country getting deported. As my sister in the chat says, literal kids are being detained by ICE. Okay, so this notion of like, oh, we're just trying to get rid of violent criminals and drug traffickers, it's not fucking true. Like, if anything can be learned from what happened to Renee Good and what happened to Alex Pretty, let it be this. This is blatant proof that your government is lying through their fucking teeth towards you. And at this point, you can't believe anything they tell you. Literally anything. I know this sounds like some tinfoil hat conspiracy theory bullshit if you're not paying attention to what's going on in the world, but pay attention. Actually pay attention to what's going on in this country right now, and you will see that this isn't some conspiracy theory bullshit. They are literally lying through their fucking teeth to your faces. And some people are buying it. It's crazy. Since the beginning of this operation, law enforcement has put themselves in harm's way to arrest dangerous criminals, including members of notorious violent gangs. I'm sorry. When you've got multiple people being assaulted by members of ICE, and now we've got people dying as a result of the actions of ICE, I'm sorry. I feel like people who are protesting against their actions are putting themselves in more danger than your people are. I just got to be real. Thank you, Lemuria Mystic Cat, for the hydrate. I do need it. Cheers. Thank you. Criminal illegal aliens convicted of homicide, drug trafficking, sexual assault against a child, rape with a weapon, and other horrific crimes are now off the streets because of Operation Metro Surge. Unfortunately, you and other Minnesota officials have refused to support the men and women risking their lives to protect Americans and uphold the rule of law. Why would they support your actions when you are killing members of their community completely unjustified? I don't understand why any local law enforcement would ever support you when that's what they're seeing you do. Because Minnesota, Minneapolis, and St. Paul have chosen to ignore federal immigration law by enacting sanctuary laws and policies, which they have every right to do within their legal jurisdiction. The federal agents led by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, and the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, have operated alone. That's your job. That's what you're supposed to be doing, right? It's not their job to provide you with aid. Why are you bitching about doing your own job? The fuck? And politicians in your state are not just refusing to help these agents, they are putting federal agents in danger. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said, ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you. Yeah, they don't want you. Why did he say that? Are you not going to mention why he said that? He probably said that because, oh, I don't know, you had just murdered a woman in cold blood in his city? Huh, no wonder he wants you and your agents out of his fucking town. You refer to our law enforcement as Trump's modern-day Gestapo, which they are? Minneapolis City Council member Aisha I'm butchering that name. I apologize, chat. Stated that the city must be ready to act as the last line of defense for targeting communities. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison has previously compared ICE enforcement to being under attack by the Nazis. Based? Based? The result of your state's policies and politicians' anti-law enforcement rhetoric are a national tragedy. Okay. Violence against ICE officers and agents has increased approximately 1,300%. Vehicular attacks against ICE officers have increased 3,200%. I don't buy that. Perhaps most disappointing, the lawlessness caused by these policies have bled into sacred spaces of worship. Parishioners are met by an anti-ICE mob last weekend as several dozens of individuals stormed a city church in Minneapolis to interrupt worship services and scream in the faces of frightened Christians and their families. The violence against our officers and the violations of religious liberties cannot be allowed to continue. It's funny, like, they're talking about, like, all these horrible things that have allegedly happened to, like, ICE agents or whatever. I saw a tweet today. Can I pull up this tweet? I don't think I put it in the Discord, but I'm going to pull this up because this is the dumbest shit I have ever heard. By JD Vance. Look at this fucking JD Vance tweet. This guy expects me to feel bad for ICE agents over this piss poor fucking tweet. Let me read this tweet to you guys, chat. And I'll let you guys know what I said about it. When I was in Minneapolis, I heard a number of crazy stories, but near the top of the list, this is the top of the list for him in terms of crazy stories that he has heard of things that happen to ICE agents. Listen to this, chat. A couple of off-duty ICE and CBP officers were going to dinner in Minneapolis. They were doxxed and their location revealed, and the restaurant was then mobbed. The officers were locked in the restaurant, and local police refused to respond to their pleas for help as they'd been directed by local authorities. Eventually, their fellow federal agents came to their aid. This is just a taste of what's happening in Minneapolis because state and local officials refuse to cooperate with immigration enforcement. They have created the chaos so they can have moments like yesterday where someone tragically dies and politicians get to grandstand about the evils of enforcing the border. The solution is staring everyone in the face. I hope authorities in Minneapolis stop this madness. This is what I had to say about this stupid fucking tweet. You expect me to feel bad for two ICE agents who were inconvenienced during their meal. Two people are dead. Renee Good, Alex Pretty. They'll never have a peaceful meal with their loved ones again. So quite frankly, I don't give a fuck about them and their meal. Fuck off. You guys remember when the BP oil spill thing was happening and the CEO of BP at the time, he made that really public fuck up of like making the statement of like he wishes this would just go away so he can go back to like living his normal life or whatever. Meanwhile, people's lives are being like drastically affected by this oil spill that's happening in the Gulf and shit like that. And like that was like a PR disaster, right? You guys remember that? This tweet by JD Vance is like that statement times 100. Oh, these poor ICE officers were inconvenienced during their meal. 2 people fucking died because of your officers, you dipshit. You think I give a fuck about 2 officers who had a rough time while having a meal? Fuck you. Fucking bullshit, right? Anyway. The lawlessness in the streets is matched by the unprecedented financial fraud occurring on your watch. And the out-of-control fraud in your state also implicates election security. You know the fraud they're talking about? I forget this guy's name. Some, like, dipshit conservative YouTuber that's been going on and on about, like, fraud happening in, like, Minnesota. And that's the reason why. Because we all know that Donald Trump gets all his information from dipshit conservative commentators on the internet. This guy spread lies about fraud going on in their communities. And, like, he actually, like, bought into it. And that's why a lot of this shit is happening. Anyway, it is a tragedy that Americans have lost faith in Minnesota's ability to keep taxpayers' funds secure and its citizens safe. You and your office must restore the rule of law, support ICE officers, and bring an end to the chaos in Minnesota. Fuck no. Fortunately, there are common sense solutions to these problems that I hope we can accomplish together. First, share all of Minnesota's records on Medicaid and food and nutrition service programs, including the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program data, with the federal government. Allowing the federal government to efficiently investigate fraud will save Minnesota taxpayers money and ensure Minnesota's welfare funds are being used to help those in need, not enrich fraudsters. And this is where things get really crazy. Second, repeal the sanctuary policies that have led to so much crime and violence in your state. Removing criminal illegal aliens from Minnesota neighborhoods will save lives, and state and local officials should support this goal. All detention facilities in your state should cooperate fully with ICE, honor immigration detainers, and permit ICE to interview detainees in custody to determine immigration status. I urge you to reach an agreement with ICE that allows them to remove illegal aliens in custody of Minnesota's prisons and jails and avoid pushing these interactions into your streets. Third, allow the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice to access voter rolls to confirm that Minnesota's voter registration practices comply with federal law as authorized by the Civil Rights Act of 1960. Fulfilling this common sense request will better guarantee free and fair elections and boost confidence in the rule of law. I am confident that these simple steps will help bring back law and order to Minnesota and improve the lives of Americans. They're trying to hold Minnesota hostage. Give in to our demands, or ICE will continue to wreak havoc on your communities. What the fuck? This is the government we have in place right now, where they can send threatening letters like this to the governor of a state and say, you do what we tell you, or we'll continue to allow chaos to ensue in your communities. The time has come for state and local officials in your state to change course. As the chief law enforcement officer of the United States, I am committed to enforcing federal immigration laws and keeping every American safe. Minnesota can and should be a partner with this administration. Do not obstruct federal immigration enforcement. Do not allow rioters, again, they're not rioters, do not allow rioters to take over the streets and houses of worship. Do not hinder federal officials from investigating financial fraud and violations of election laws. Hey, can you answer a question for me? What does murdering innocent people have to do with investigating financial fraud or election violations? What exactly does killing Renee Good and Alex Priddy have to do with that? Because it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Whether state and local politicians stand in the way or not, we will work every day to protect Americans and make Minnesota safe again. I request that you join us in that effort. Sincerely, Pam Bondi, Attorney General. Fuck you. Literally, fuck you. This is bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. Literally holding an entire state ransom because you don't get your fucking way. Ridiculous. We should not be standing for this. This is unacceptable.